Well, Rock Church, how you guys doing today? Good. So, man, it is so good to be with you. It's so good to be right here in Conway with y'all. But I also know we got our friends online and at J. Reuben Long with us right now. So let's give it up for everybody at J. Reuben. And, man, it's our first service where you can actually see what's coming, right? Like, I want to go up here and step on this, but I'm not allowed yet because we don't have a permit, so I'm not going to step on it because I don't want to get in trouble.
Where'd the rebel go?
I've already been on it. And Will was on it earlier, testing it out, so it's good. No, man, it's exciting. You can kind of see some of the work that has been going on. And if you don't know this, because many of you all are just Thursday night people, but on Sunday, we literally had people sitting in the lobby during the 10 o'clock service because we were out of room. And there was a big wall up and all that. And the team that we've contracted, they did a phenomenal job working hard this week, getting that wall down. And then that wall, literally the wall came down yesterday and we had to move screens, move everything. And if inspections go right tomorrow, then next Thursday night we'll actually be using that part of our auditorium and everything will move this way, all right? So inspections have to go right, and if they don't, it's okay because that means something needs to be fixed and we've got to make it safe, but trusting that inspections go well tomorrow and we'll at least get to use that part of it. The baptistry isn't ready, but man, I'm fired up for that thing to get used, you know what I'm saying? So we have our temporary baptistry. We'll keep using that for a while, but eventually our baptistry room will be ready, and we'll jump into that. So, man, I love to see what God is doing, and God is working in all of our lives. And that's one of the reasons why we said, man, we got to make room for one more. We got to make room for one more. And you might be the one more. It might be your first time ever at the Rock tonight. Might be your first time ever being here. Might be your first time ever even being in a church. And I'm glad you're here. And I hope today, man, if I could say it this way, I hope you figure out your why. Why we should navigate our way back to God. Do you ever just ask the question, why? You know what I'm saying? Any of y'all have kids who ask the question, why? You know what I mean? Or remember when your kids asked the question, why? And then there's things that you just wonder, like, why? Like, why, no matter which line I pick at the grocery store, it's always the slowest? You know what I'm saying? You with me there, Jim? Right? You know? Or how about this? Why is the word abbreviation such a long word? Jalen, that makes sense, right? Or how about this, another one, and this one's one I struggle with already. Why doesn't phonics sound like the way it's spelled? You know what I mean? Like if you're supposed to use phonics, right? Or how about this? Why do you park in a driveway and drive on a parkway? You thought about that one? Why? How about this? Why, the minute you pay something off, it breaks down? You know what I'm saying? Or how about this? Have you ever lost something? And it's the question, why when I lose something, as soon as you replace it, you find what you lost? Has that ever happened to anybody? Guys, this week, literally, like I was thinking about how do I start this message? And no joke, like I lost my right AirPod a couple months ago. And I was tired of walking around with just the left one in all the time. So this past weekend, when I was home, I'm like, that's it. I'm going to find this thing. Like if I look at find my AirPod, it's in my house somewhere. 2 months later, still had enough charge to get recognized. And I'm like, all right, I'm destroying this house. I found an Apple Pencil that got lost about a year ago. I found one of Krista's AirPods that got lost a while ago. I found who knows what underneath the couch, You know what I mean? Like I went through every cushion, every piece of furniture, went into my closet, went into every pocket in every pair of shorts, every pair of pants, pulled out every shirt, checked every jacket pocket, every hoodie pocket, did them all. Couldn't find it. I'm like, all right, I'm done. So I went on Apple and I ordered a replacement right AirPod. It arrived Tuesday. I put a hoodie on Wednesday, stuck my hands in my pocket, and was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. And sure enough, and like you should go, oh, you found it, that's great. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but why? Why does it seem to work like that? Or let's go to something more serious. Why do you go to church? Why do you worship God? Or why do we make disciples? And you might not have been with us last week, but last week I gave an impassioned message about making disciples. I'll be honest, I preached so hard, I kind of destroyed my voice. And it's been a challenge all week, and I'm just praying I make it through 4 more sermons this weekend. But I just passionately shared, like, man, we got to be about making disciples. But why? See, if you know your what, but don't know your why, you'll have a really hard time accomplishing your what. Like Jesus told us to make disciples, and you might say, well, he told it, and just as an act of obedience, I'm going to do it. And I can't argue with that, okay? But I will say this in general, if you have a what, but you don't know your why, oftentimes you're just not successful at accomplishing your what. Like if your what is, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to start working out. You can ask any trainer, and they will, for the most part, always tell you, if you come to them and say, yeah, I'm going to start training, why? Well, I want to lose weight. They'll be like, all right, we'll see what happens. Because it's not a good enough goal. Just like probably most of us in this room at some point in our life have said, well, I want to lose a little bit of weight. If you don't have a why on why you want to lose a little bit of weight, oftentimes you won't be successful. Why do I want to lose weight? Because I want to get off that medicine. Why do I want to lose weight? Because I want to live longer if possible to spend more time with my family and grandkids. Like that, those are some whys that you go, okay, now I'm going to say no to that. Now I am going to go to the gym because I've recognized something in my body. You see what I'm getting at? If you want to accomplish your what, you have to know your why. So why do we make disciples? And again, there's answers you could give. Well, Jesus told me to, so I want to be obedient. That's fine. That's not a bad why. Because you don't want people to go to hell. That's a good why. Because you care about people. Again, a good why. Could I take those maybe and boil them into one statement, though? That I can tell you it's been my why for years. I discovered it years ago. And hopefully you've discovered it. And if you haven't, I pray that today you do. That our why should be because people matter to Jesus. See, if I understand people matter to Jesus, if that's my why, man, people matter to Jesus, which means my coworker, my friend, my classmate, my teammate, my dad, my spouse, my son, whoever it is, if they matter to Jesus, well, I don't want them to go to hell. If they matter to Jesus, then I care about them too. If they matter to Jesus, then I want to be obedient. That if we catch this idea that people matter to Jesus, to me, that's the why that will help us to accomplish the what. Go back to the compass that I showed you guys last week. If you remember this, and you can see it on the screen there, if you have one of these poker chips, hopefully you have one. If you don't, grab one on your way out. There's plenty of them. That the compass is on there. And if you remember, the north is the mission. It's what we do. And then you get to the east side. That's our philosophy. Another simple way to say it, that's our why. That's the why of the church. That's the why that we should have as individuals, is that people matter to Jesus. which means you matter to Jesus. And I want to illustrate that by just reading a story tonight. And the scriptures aren't going to be on the screen or anything. What I'm going to ask you to do is just open a Bible, okay? I'll read it. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. I'll read it and you can listen. But I want to challenge you to open up a Bible to Mark chapter 5. And in Mark chapter 5, we're going to read a story. And I think it illustrates all the way through it that people matter to Jesus. So again, I'm giving you time. If you want to go there, Mark chapter 5, it's going to be verse 1 through 20. It's a long section of scripture. And I'll just tell you right now, normally this is not how I do it. Normally I break it up a little bit, or normally I just tell you the story. But I just feel compelled on this message just to simply read it. And again, if you have a phone, grab the Rock app. And the Bible is right there. Or download the Bible app. But get it, either paper version, digital version. And let's read Mark 5. I'm going to read 20 verses, so this is going to take a while. Listen in. Read along. I'm reading from an NLT version. It says, "So they arrived at the other side of the lake in the region of Gerasenes." You could also call it the Decapolis, okay? Says this, verse 2. "When Jesus climbed out of the boat, a man possessed by an evil spirit came out from the tombs to meet him. The man lived in the burial caves and could no longer be restrained, even with a chain. Whenever he was put into chains and shackles, as he often was, he snapped the chains from his wrist and smashed the shackles. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Day and night he wandered among the burial caves and in the hills, howling and cutting himself with sharp stones. When Jesus was still some distance away, the man saw him, ran to meet him, and bowed low before him. With a shriek, he screamed, 'Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In the name of Jesus, I beg you, don't torture me.' For Jesus had already said to the spirit, 'Come out of the man, you evil spirit.' Then Jesus demanded, 'What is your name?' And he replied, 'My name is Legion, because there are many of us inside this man.' Then the evil spirit begged him again and again not to send them to some distant place. There happened to be a large herd of pigs feeding on the hillside nearby. 'Send us into the pigs,' the spirits begged. 'Let us enter them.' So Jesus gave them permission. The evil spirits came out of the man, entered the pigs, and the entire herd of about 2,000 pigs plunged down a steep hillside into a lake and drowned in the water. The herdsmen fled to the nearby town and the surrounding countryside, spreading the news as they ran. People rushed out to see what had happened. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been possessed by a legion of demons. He was sitting there, fully clothed and perfectly sane, and they were all afraid. Then those who had seen what had happened told the others about the demon-possessed man and the pigs, and the crowds began pleading with Jesus, 'Go away and leave them alone.' As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. But Jesus said, 'No, go home to your family and tell them everything the Lord has done for you and how merciful he has been.' So the man started off to visit the 10 towns of the region, and he began to proclaim the great things Jesus had done for him, and everyone was amazed at what he told them." That everyone was amazed. I love this story because in it, I think it captures this whole essence of why did Jesus come to this earth? Why did Jesus tell us to make disciples? Why did Jesus die on the cross? Because we matter to him. People matter to him, which means you matter to him, which means I matter to him. And I think this story, it just shows us this in so many ways. I want to pull 5 things out from it, just real quick. 5 things you'll see in the story. I think the first thing you see is simply this, that Jesus goes where no one else will go. Jesus goes where no one else will go. You see it in verse 1. It said, then Jesus went to the Gerasenes, or like I said, you can call that area Decapolis, all right? Now, it was an area, a region that Jewish people dare not go. It was a region full of idol worship. It was a region full of paganism. It was a region full of Gentiles. So any good Jewish boy, any good Jewish man said, the people of that town, they're dirty. The people of that town worship a bunch of false gods, a bunch of idols. We're not going to go near them. Yet Jesus left the path of being around all the Jews and went to the Gerasenes. He went to a place where no one else would go. Because there's no place in this world that is outside of his potential grace. There's no place in this world where his grace can't work. The bar, the strip joint, the slum, the university, the governmental office, the high school, the middle school, your house, the DMV. Some of you are like, Josh, I don't know. I mean, I know Jesus is pretty strong, but I don't know about the DMV. The jail. Those of you at J. Reuben, you're not so far away that God's grace can't come to you. Because when Jesus looks at you, he says you matter. There's no place. The Jews were afraid to go to the Gerasene area, to that region, because they were afraid to get dirty. They're like, if we go, then we're going to be unholy. We're going to be unclean, that these Gentiles are going to get around us. But Jesus looked at this region and said, that those people need my grace. And we need to look that way as well in all of those areas I said and many more and go, how do I go in there and how do I share God's grace? I think about J. Reuben. I think about those of you there that you need to know you're not so far away that God's grace can't be there. And listen, I know there's going to be about 90 of you or so that choose to go to church this weekend. You don't have to go. But while you're in jail, you're like, I want to go. And I want you to know you can receive God's grace because you matter to him. But I want you to think about it this way. I want you to think about the VIPs who go to J. Reuben. Yeah, I'll give it up for them because they're incredible. But I can tell you, I've heard from many of our VIPs that go to J. Reuben. And those of you at J. Reuben, I think you get this. The first time the VIPs ever go, our volunteers, they're scared. They're like, I've maybe never been to jail. What's it going to be like? And there's a little bit of fear. But every one of those volunteers goes because they say, you matter to Jesus and you matter to me. And that's why we have our J. Reuben Long Ministry. That's why it's a campus. Because Jesus goes where no one else will go because people matter. Therefore, we need to go where no one else will go. Because people matter. Another thing you'll see in the text is Jesus sees what no one else sees. Jesus sees what no one else sees. That this, you got to remember the story, a crazy naked man is running around the tombs. I think we can all say that would freak us out. right? Like when Jesus is coming ashore, a crazy naked man goes running out after after them, like going to be close to them. And I'm thinking, if I'm Peter or the other guys, I'm like, opposite direction, right? Like, let's start rowing a different way. The townspeople, what they saw was someone who was dead. Where did they put him? Say it out loud for me. Where did they put him? In the graves, in the cemetery. Who do you put in the cemetery? Dead people. They looked at this. The townspeople said, we don't know what to do with you, so we're going to treat you as dead to us. Man, how sad is that? When Jesus saw this guy, he didn't look at him as someone who was dead. He looked at him as someone who could be alive. And he went to him. And he saw in him what no one else could see. Man, let's be honest. There's times we look at people and we don't see the hurt, the pain, the struggle they're going through. We just see something on the outside. There's times we see people, we don't see the struggle. We don't see the lack of confidence. We don't see maybe the depression. We don't see the home life. We just see someone we don't understand. We see somebody from a different race and we're like, I don't know if I know that person. And we just don't see them. Man, Jesus sees everyone because he sees what no one else sees, which means he sees you. He sees exactly where you're at, exactly what you're going through. And here's what's cool about Jesus. He doesn't give up on you. So we shouldn't give up on people. Some of you are educators. It's been the first week, and it might already be hard. And you might already be going, that kid is going to be the death of me. Maybe you need to see what's really going on inside of his life. Maybe. You know, like, you might not really know what's going on at home or what he's been through. And you might be the only person who sees him for who he really is and gives him the value that he's longing to find. You might be in the hospital and you might see somebody that everybody else has given up on, but you see somebody and give them great dignity while they're dying. I'm just simply saying people matter. Jesus shows us that because he sees what no one else sees. You'll see another thing. It's from Mark chapter 5, verse 8 through 13. Jesus values what others don't value. It's right there in the story. I want to remind you that the guy ran up to him and was like, Son of the Most High God, please don't hurt us. Please don't send us away. And Jesus is like, no, you got to get out of my guy. And they're like, yeah, but please don't send us to the abyss. He goes, I don't care where you go. You want to go to the pigs? Go into the pigs. I don't care. Just get out of my guy. Because this guy matters to me way more than the pigs do. That's what he's literally saying. He's saying, go into the pigs. I don't care. Because his value is worth way more than the pig's value. Now, the herdsmen, they did not believe that. The herdsmen believed their pigs were more valuable than the guy. The townspeople believed the pigs were more valuable than the guy. I did some research. The average cost of a live pig right now, as of today, was $216 per pig. That's the average cost. Now, again, imagining average weight of a pig that is sold, okay? So $216. 2,000 pigs ran into the ocean. That's $432,000. A lot of us would go, that's some good money. And Jesus said, throw away your $432,000 because this guy is worth way more. This guy has a value that far exceeds your $500,000. Do we value people the way that Jesus does. Man, I don't have time to make disciples. I don't have time to share my faith. I don't have time to help that person. So your time is more valuable than the person. I don't have the energy to serve that person. I don't have the energy to serve at church. So your energy is more valuable than that person. I don't give to the Lord financially through the local church. I just haven't got there yet. So your money is more valuable than the person. Because when you give at the local church, at least I can say this for the Rock, when you give at the Rock, it is used to help people find what matters. Or go back to our what, it is to make disciples. So if I don't give, what we're literally saying is my money is worth more than somebody's soul and somebody's heart. Do you see what I'm getting at? Will we value what Jesus values? Let me give you two more real quick. Jesus restores what others remove. Remember that the townspeople sent this guy to the tombs, to the grave, to the cemetery. They rather than try to restore him, rather than try to help him, they just removed him. They just said, get away from us. You're dead to us. We don't want to help. And I think we sometimes find that as well. That the marriage is struggling, well, let's just remove the marriage. Let's just end the marriage rather than restore the marriage. That my kids are struggling, let's just remove, no, get out of the house, go do your thing, rather than restore them. That the friendship, it's rough, I'm just going to remove the friendship rather than restore. This person is walking away from God, I'm just going to let them walk away from God rather than try to restore it. Look at what Jesus did. Jesus didn't remove the man, he restored the man. He went to him, he said, demons, get out. They left. And when the townspeople came, you see it in verse 15, where did they find him? At the feet of Jesus. How did they find him? Dressed and in his right mind, perfectly sane. He was restored. Which means you can be restored. Your marriage can be restored. Your life can be restored. Your sobriety can be restored. Your faith can be restored. And some of you, I just know this is true. Some of you, or at times people will have thoughts of hurting themselves or suicidal. And be like, I'm just going to remove myself from this earth. I'm going to remove myself from that situation. I'm going to remove myself from people. And listen, please hear me. You matter to Jesus and you matter to us. Do not remove yourself mentally, physically, or in reality. No, let Jesus restore you. Let him restore you. Because that's what Jesus is really, really good at. He restores what others remove. He uses those no one else will use. He uses those no one else will use. This guy's like, hey, Jesus, these people hate me. These people's left me for dead. Can I get in the boat and go with you? And Jesus says, no. And at first that might sound harsh, but he's like, no, I got a mission for you. I need you to go and make disciples. I need you to go to your family and tell them about my grace and about my mercy and about the wonderful things God has done in your life today. And the guy said, okay. And he left. And he went all throughout the region of 10 different towns, telling people about the amazing grace of Jesus. That we don't have record of this. Here's what I mean by that. That Jesus went to the area of Gerasenes. And this was his only time he went there. Then he left. He was only there for a small amount of time and only to heal one person. And then he left. But the entire region heard about Jesus Christ because the guy who used to be dead was now alive. Because Jesus went where no one else would go. He sees what no one else sees. He values what no one else values. He restores what others remove. And he uses what others won't use. And what I want you to hear tonight is one of two things as we go into this time of response. One, I want you to recognize this in your life. See, you might be here today. You might be at J. Reuben, and you might feel like, man, nobody sees me. Nobody values me. Nobody will invite me in. I want you to know first and foremost, Jesus does. That's why he came and died on the cross for you, to bring you from death to life. And I want you to know, with all of our ability, we do as well as a church. Now, we're human and we make mistakes. I know that. But we will do everything within our power to help people know that they matter to Jesus, which means to help you know you matter to Jesus, because that's our why. That's why we do what we do. This gen, you are why we do what we do. You matter. I can say it for all people. You matter. I want you to recognize that. Secondly, I want you to remember it. Because for some of you, you have recognized and you do know that you matter to Jesus. You know it. You've surrendered your life. You're like, yes, I matter. But let's remember that all people matter. And let's do our very, very, very best to go where Jesus goes. To see what Jesus sees. To value what Jesus values. To restore the way Jesus restores. And to be used because Jesus uses people who used to be dead and are now alive. Amen. So let's stand up together. And we're going to go into this time of response. And maybe for you tonight, it's an opportunity to say, man, I'm ready to surrender to Jesus. And if you don't really even know how to do that, we have people right in the back, right by our sound booth. There's a banner that says Prayer Matters. They would love to pray with you about saying yes to Jesus, accepting his amazing love and allowing him to take you from death to life. Maybe tonight you want to take the step of baptism. I know we got one young man that he's going to do it. I'm fired up for him. And if that's you, again, step to the back. We've got clothes, we've got towels. We'll take care of you. Maybe for you, it's a time of communion, of just being reminded, I matter and others matter. And I need to live in a way that makes disciples. That I need to remember my why so that I can accomplish the what. Let's spend some time singing, responding, worshiping the God who says you matter. Let's do that right now.